there, dear friends, relatives, assorted enemies, people who've just accidentally clicked on this because it was on the YouTube sidebar. My name is What Culture's Adam Cleary, and this very Sunday, which could be days, hours, minutes, I'm not sure when this is going up, away, WWE have a very important decision to make. Who is going to be crowned 2020 Men's Money in the Bank winner? And it is quite an interesting decision for them this year because Drew McIntyre is a new champion. He is somebody who's only recently been bestowed the top prize in the company, so it's not like there are years and years of fantasy booking ideas and ooh, wouldn't it be good if scenarios to go to now that he's got the belt. Instead, everything from here feels like uncharted territory. Even the Seth Rollins feud that he started off his championship defenses with feels a bit odd because, well, Seth Rollins lost at WrestleMania and he's kind of floated down the card since he had the championship, but they've thrown these two together and it's been very good, which means the possibilities for his next feud are endless. Alright, so obviously they're not endless. The roster on Raw is simultaneously very good and very talented, but also very badly used, so there's not actually that many options, and by the time they pulled together 6 entrants for the Money in the Bank ladder match this year, you start to realise quite how thin the field is. His line of opponents is not as long as they think it is. But presuming he is successful in retaining the title against Seth Rollins this weekend, then whoever wins that ladder match is going to come face to face with him at some point. So, who's going to win it? Who's going to be crowned Mr. Money in the Bank 2020? Who's going to be carrying around that briefcase? Well, my name is Adam Cleary, and I've got a theory. Yes, you see, we dug out the old title card. I can't get the lab coat or the goggles or anything like that in lockdown, and I can't have a lab behind me, but we've got the old title card. So, right, where to begin? Okay. AJ Styles is going to win the 2020 Money in the Bank ladder match. That's it, that's the video. There's no sense burying the lead on this one. I am going to present you overwhelming scientific and historical evidence for why this is going to happen, but the fact remains, when you boil all this down, AJ Styles is going to win the 2020 Money in the Bank ladder match. It's just, that's it. Now, pun very much intended here, but before we get onto the case, for the winner, it's probably important we go through the other 5 men in the match to tell you precisely why none of those can actually win this thing, because it's actually the depth of the roster, the other talent available to the company, which marks Styles out as the best possible candidate, not even just in this match, but in the company as a whole. So, first of all, Otis. Now, nothing would give me more pleasure in the whole world than to see Otis climb that ladder and be crowned the Money in the Bank winner, but his inclusion in this match is nothing to do with winning the briefcase. Elsewhere, Rey Mysterio. Now, he is a vital component of this match, in my opinion. He's one of the older heads, he's one of the more experienced wrestlers. He will be great at helping put this match together, but he will not be anywhere near the conversation in WWE for who should be winning this thing. The guy's 45 years old, and while that is no barrier whatsoever to being in the main event picture, he was, not all that long ago, that whole Brock Lesnar feud where he was going to kill his son, and then they got, what's-his-face, the baddie from 300 involved, the UFC guy, I forget his name, they got him involved. This was Rey Mysterio's time in the spotlight, no less than he deserved, but it's past now. He's going to go back into that whole Zelina Vega thing after this. Now, King Corbin's a more interesting one because it is impossible to argue that WWE don't see him as a potential Money in the Bank briefcase holder because he has literally been a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. He won the thing in 2017, but alas, not so he could get the belt, just so he could be embarrassingly beaten by Jinder, just to set up an even more embarrassing squash against John Cena. That feels like a long time ago and was weird. Fundamentally though, the briefcase is supposed to be a prop for a wrestler. Basically, if you've not got a good enough gimmick or you need a new one, you are given the briefcase because, well, that's your thing now. You're the briefcase holder. You are Mr. Money in the Bank. It gets you more airtime, it gives you something to talk about, it gives you something to lord over the rest of the roster. It sets you apart from either your old self or just everybody else you wrestle. Case in point, Seth Rollins, still kind of struggling to find an identity post-Shield, was a great candidate to hold it for a long time, but Dean Ambrose, far more settled in his lunatic fringe personality, was better to cash it in on the night. Thus, Baron Corbin is the perfect person to hold a Money in the Bank briefcase, but King Corbin is not, because he's already got a prop. Basically, for so long as he's still calling himself King, he can't be Mr. Money in the Bank, because then he'd be King Mr. Money in the Bank, or Mr. Money in the Crown, or Mr. Crown Money Prince Mohammed bin... So I'm not sure. Anyway, basically both gimmicks would undermine each other, so you can't have them. Now, Daniel Bryan, on the other hand, that's far more interesting because he is a man who is currently free of gimmicks at the minute. That Planet's Champion thing was some career's best work. It revitalised him after a fairly underwhelming return to the company. It was genuinely the best thing they could have done with the WWE Championship at the time, and one of the best things he has ever done, full stop. But he doesn't have anything like that at the minute, so you'd think he'd be a good candidate. However, on the subject of money in the Crown Prince, whatever Daniel Bryan's political stance means he will not be able to ever defend that belt in any of the Saudi Arabia shows. He won't work them, so he isn't on them. So if you put an important championship on them, you rule that championship out of those matches. And the Saudi General Sports Authority are not paying all of that oil money to not have the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship defended on their shows. It shouldn't matter, this shouldn't be a big deal, but it is to WWE, so you can probably rule them out. If you think I'm exaggerating with that one, by the way, think all the way back to last year, WrestleMania weekend. He lost to Kofi, then he challenged for the belt like the week after that. And since then, how many times has Daniel Bryan been in a WWE or Universal Championship match? Anybody? Once, against The Fiend at the Royal Rumble, and that was far more about making the character of The Fiend, giving him a good match, than it was putting Bryan back in that title picture. For so long as he won't work those shows, he ain't gonna be getting that belt, and if he ain't getting that belt, there's no point giving him the briefcase. Now, while we can safely rule out the other four, Aleister Black's position here does still have a couple of question marks on it, namely because, up until Styles was inserted into this match, he felt like the favourite to win it, and for the reasons he felt like the favourite, none of that's actually changed simply because Styles is in the match, so it does make you wonder. Basically, his push, if you want to call it that, feels like it's building towards a big win, and this would be a big win. Now, we'll get to the reasons why Styles is better qualified in a second, but the main thing against Aleister Black here is just that people like him too much. Like, it is a prop, yes, it's supposed to add to a wrestler's gimmick or just give them a gimmick full stop, but it is inherently a heel prop because the clause contained within that briefcase is really unfair. It allows you to sneak attack your opponents, and faces don't do that. Aleister Black is a man who is supremely confident in his own ability. He wins wrestling matches normally with just one kick. He has been begging all the other wrestlers in WWE to literally approach him man to man, face to face, knock on his door, and pick a fighter, not pick a locker or sneak attacker. I could do those for days. Either way, it doesn't fit his character. So, just to round up here, what we're looking for, right, is a man who A, WWE see as championship material, who B, doesn't really have a strong gimmick going for them at the minute, C, is a heel or just doesn't mind playing dirty, and D, would happily perform in front of the Crown Prince. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Styles is winning Money in the Bank 2020. The man is considered a vital component of the WWE main event scene, but has not been in a major championship match since anybody, Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank last year. Since then, he's worked with talent old, talent new, helped elevate some really good programs, and got the United States Championship back to a level of respectability, but he's never been near any of these top belts. Few qualifying matches there, maybe could have been crowned #1 contender. Nope, not in a single match. For the thing, he is overdue. The most compelling piece of evidence here, though, is the gimmick element of it, because AJ Styles is a man who, for the past 12 months, his entire character, his entire personality has been, hello, I'm AJ Styles, I'm the leader of the club, and these are my friends Gallows and Anderson. And for reasons we're about to get into, he does not have that gimmick anymore. He can't. The subject of the club's departure from WWE has been roundly covered, but it's been no secret that there are murmurings that AJ Styles is, understandably, not too pleased with the way his two best pals in the whole world were treated by the company during all of this. He wants to know they value him, he wants to know they're not going to show him that level of disrespect. He's just genuinely got a bit of a bone to pick with everybody in management, so the fact he was rushed back, having been killed, murdered by The Undertaker, I don't know, into this match and immediately inserted as one of the obvious favourites, does smack off, okay, we're sorry, look how much we value you, we'll give you the thing. And without that gimmick to occupy himself, what kind of character could a man who has been everywhere, who has done everything, what could he really make his own? What could he really make a success out of? What would fit him down to the ground? Could it be Mr. Money in the Bank? This is a man who, wherever he has gone in his career, fans have flocked to watch him perform, like all over America, Canada, Mexico, Japan, everywhere in Europe. The guy has been a draw for decades. Like the promos for this write themselves. Like when AJ Styles, apologies about the accent, when AJ Styles is on your show, there's not a spare seat in the house. I am literally money in the bank. I'm really sorry, AJ. In all likelihood as well, this year's holder of the briefcase is going to have it for quite a while because the last two holders got rid of it fairly quickly. Like as soon as Brock got his hands on it, he was going straight for Seth. And even Braun, he was a few months into it, but he kept trying to cash in again and again and again. It was at the forefront of the main event, pretty much from Money in the Bank onwards. They need somebody who this year bides their time and makes it part of their character, can draw it out while Drew has a few other feuds because, well, the Seth Rollins thing's only just getting started, and if you think they are not doing Drew versus Jinder, the 3MB, the 2MB feud, you are sorely mistaken. Basically, right, whatever box you care to write for this year's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, AJ Styles ticks it with that giant P or the 1 or whatever he has on his gloves. It makes sense for him. It makes sense for the belt. It makes sense for Raw. It makes sense for Drew. It makes sense for the championship itself. It just remains to be seen whether or not it makes sense for WWE this very weekend. AJ Styles is gonna win the 2020 Money in the Bank ladder match. My name is Adam Cleary. That was my theory. But as ever, I'm sure you've got some of your own, so let us know what you made of that in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Cleary. I now have 4 days off, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.